Yeah, welcome back to my Let's Play Hearts of Iron 3, The Finest Hour. 1 second, I just check if the recording is working. Yes, this is. I now have my battle plan laid out for you. Well, it's not a too fancy one, since, I mean, that's really easy scenario to conquer at least the, not homeland, that's called the continent, you know, without the island. It's basically involves 3 phases. The first phase is to get some area where I can flank the enemy, which means I will have constant pressure here, so they cannot move and reorganize, and then a bigger amount of my militia will move inland and get the front really broad. So normally I will have so many more infantry than my opponent has, which means I need to use my advantage and go behind his line. So I get most of my units on the left side, and then I will go behind him and then will spread out. It also works pretty well because the infrastructure on the left side is pretty crappy, but my militia don't need much infrastructure to supply. Always need to focus on this one. For example, supply is 0.2 per militia brigade compared to an infantry, which is almost more than 3 times as much. Which means I can totally overrun him with massive infantry on the left side and then spread out behind him, which normally means he will move back all his army, or will be moved back, or will be killed by me. So, and that is the first phase. And the second phase, I will just move inland here. I normally just maybe 1 or 2 cities, and then I conquer the whole Manchukuo. That's right in English, Manchukuo. And yeah, that's it. It's pretty easy. And then in Korea, I will stop here in this area maybe. Kind of funny. It's almost the real area. I believe the what's call it? I don't know in English, but you know the between north and south. It's here, right? Almost. And I will stop here too. And the idea is to keep the whole Japanese army occupied in this area of Korea. I don't want them to escape, and I don't want them to use the resources otherwise. I want the Japanese army in this area at least for a while, so I can level up my infantry and give them all the time harassment attacks, so I can get better infantry. And then later, when I feel ready for my invasion, then I will not just attack slowly, I will attack as fast as possible to kill everyone in this area. I don't want them to retreat back to homeland, so when I then have an invasion, I have all the damn Japanese army here, and it's so much harder to fight them over here than fight them in Korea. So I need to destroy them in Korea, which means I cannot push them too hard. I need to give them at least a little bit space here to breathe and to resupply, otherwise I will just move back to Japan. So that's basically, yeah, the basic plan. It's not too fancy. And what's the advantage I have here? I have 2 advantages. One is there are a lot of, well, not a lot, but there are a couple of cities, like here's a city area, here's a city area, here's a city area, on the top's a city area, here's a city area, here's a city area. And what most people maybe don't know is that militia and garrisons, they have city bonuses compared to infantry. You can look it up in division building. It's a bit tricky, but if you hover over this one here, you get all the bonuses. For example, this one has in mountain and cities minus 40. Well, in mountains, minus 50, and in a city, that's urban attack here is minus 40 attack. Not attack, it's minus, no, attack. So the soft attack, for example, is reduced by 40% or 50%. And if you compare that one to, let's say, a militia, it has better bonuses. So, for example, mountains, okay, it's minus 50%, but you get a defense bonus of 10%, which means your organization will be, you know, 10%, gets 10% less damage, if you like. So your toughness, I believe, is defense here. So, and the other one is for urban attack, you also have less penalty than the other one. And you also get a 15% bonus for your defense. But defense is also when you attack, in my belief. I'm not 100% sure how they read these numbers, but I believe it means your toughness. But not 100% sure about this number. But if you only go for the attack value, it's also better than attacking with infantry. So even though I attack with militia, which is per brigade weaker than an infantry, it gets more bonuses or less penalties for your city and mountain attack and hill attacks. So the same is true for garrison, which means in the terrain I fight here, I have the better units because I don't use infantry. Still, I need most likely 2 infantry, 2 militia or 3 militia to beat 1 infantry, but this shouldn't be a problem if I deploy them right and if I use my numbers. So to use my numbers, I need to break through on the left side. As you see, if I would fight in this area here, I most likely cannot use militia efficient, because if you use more than 5 divisions from sector to sector, you get a penalty, which is really strong. I believe 9% per division over 5 divisions attacked. So which means if I really would just fight in this bottleneck here, I would be busted against the Japanese, but I won't. That's why I will break through here. So you see, I know exactly what terrain I fight, I know exactly what I want to do, and I know exactly what units I need, which already have tagged efficiency, which I have tagged efficient. I hope so at least. Then some other stuff I need to consider is the coastline here, that nobody is landing here and conquering my whole country, which is not a big issue. The Japanese can land here, but landing is really, really weak and it's really, really easy to defend. So I'm not concerned about this one. I will place some militias here and then we are done. I don't need to win the fights, I only need to give me time to deploy new units to defend if there was a landing. And then we have the communists here, the good the Mao guy. We can kick his ass. The problem is the city here, but again, we use a lot of militias and it shouldn't be a problem over time to get the city. What I normally would do is I would go around, so I get all these sectors here, and then I will attack it from different angles. Not 100% sure about Shaanxi, what's going on here. I cannot click on it right now, so I don't know if it's on our side or enemy. It's been a while. So it would be pretty cool if it's on our side, otherwise I maybe can conquer it. It shouldn't be strong. And then I have 2 more sectors which I can use for an attack, even though it's over water. So in a perfect case, I would only attack from here, here, and here, because here and here and here there's a river, and a city already has a strong defense, plus it has some bunkers here, which means it's totally silly to attack on these 3 sectors. I would maybe deploy 1 unit here to get the bonus from enveloping, but not more. So that's the idea. And now I can build my army. Yeah, we have some points here, we have good manpower. I'm now considering to keep some of my infantry, because first of all, I cannot build it, and second of all, when I later need maybe infantry for special operations, building making infantry out of a militia, as I said, costs a lot of industry. In most cases, even more industry than building a new unit. But I don't want to keep all the infantry units, because first of all, they're totally crap if you consider the experience here. If I go for in politics later, for better politics, I can get them at 25% experience when I build a new one. And yeah, it's already better than everything you see here. Yeah, and then the cost, of course. So I need to sell some of the infantry to finance my militia in the beginning of the game. So since I don't want to rush too fast, because I need to do it in 3 phases, I can deploy also some garrisons at the beginning. I believe if we make more like 1/3 of my army is maybe garrison and 2/3 would be militia. Yeah, somewhere in this ratio. So first of all, let's see the units. Just to get a small overview, we have a cavalry and the rest is infantry, garrison and militia. And here the question is, how much experience do these dudes have? And there's no experience unit. They're all 1 star. If you start with the Germans, you have pioneers with, I believe, 4 or 5 stars. So it's always good to check those numbers. But for the Soviet Union and for China and these countries, it doesn't matter. You can just get rid of all these units. Maybe I can even get rid of all of the infantry as well. Yeah, I think we can build a new one. It's easier to manage as well. So let's just get rid of those units. There's nothing with experience, and we don't need this crap. So ship-wise, we have like cruiser and destroyers. Now here's the thing, I cannot build those myself, at least not right now. So I could keep them and use them for some ship battle to get ship experience. But I believe that any fleet of the Japanese will just simply sink my ships, and I don't think it's worthwhile. And ships also, they're super expensive, which means if I get rid of them, see my resources here, my whole infantry and ground forces was like 1/3 of my industry, and 2/3 is this small crappy fleet here. So which means I get rid of it and I use the industry to build more infantry. So what else? Let me check all the units. Here you can see all the units. Land units, we have some air units, that's interesting. A tactical bomber and an interceptor. So now here, I believe they're not worthwhile their industry, as I said before. I've tested it so many times. But then I can use the tactical bomber and even the interceptor to make some air experience, so can have later better carrier air groups. So I believe it would be a good idea to keep them, even though they get most likely busted at the beginning. And I believe I will deploy them not here, where the Japanese can counter them with their airplanes. The airplanes are much better. I might deploy them here and bomb non-stop the communists, and so they cannot fight back, and again get some experience. Not experience as well, but technology points. You remember the what's called airplane practical, I believe that's the name, or something, for the doctrine at least. But then I need an airport here, which I cannot build because I don't have a single engine aircraft. So that's super crap. Yeah, I didn't consider this point, which means I cannot use it in this fashion. And I cannot fly from here to here air attacks. Okay, that's silly. Okay, in this case, we need to use an invade ping and hope that the Japanese airplanes cannot fight us here, which is silly because they have carriers, I believe. They just move the carriers in here, or they use this airport and will destroy us. Well, not destroy, but make it expensive, which I really hate. Easy solution would be to land some infantry here, but I believe he won't let me. So, yeah. That is super tricky. Well, I will keep both, and I deploy them here. That's not stupid. Because the more you have in the air group, the less efficient they are, which means if I go for tactical bombing, it would be silly to have in the same field my interceptor. If you want to intercept someone to protect your tactical bomber, let's say I will tactically bomb here, and then I use my interceptor in this sector here to protect it before anything can reach it. Otherwise, I will just lose 10% of my bombing efficiency. So yeah, it won't work. No? I know already that the Japanese will destroy my airplanes. Not destroy, but give them some beating. But I still get a lot, and I mean a lot of experience to make the tech so much cheaper. It's super expensive when you check the numbers here. It's like 12,000 for both of them. Most likely, most goes in the tactical here. You know what? We get rid of the tactical. I mean, from the bombing, it has no value whatsoever. I mean, you could prove you this, but you can also believe it. There's no bombing value in it. So on this one would be like 4,000. That's so silly, 4,000. What the hell? But you can also do some ground bombing and get the experience. But 4,000, you know what you get for 4,000? Just to give you an idea, you get a whole army for 4,000 industry. So for example, I get here my militia. You always build reserves. And now 4,000, check the numbers. So I get 50 divisions, not brigades, divisions for 4,000. 50. So for this one thing. It's so silly, so super silly. By the way, the manpower cost, when you get the reserves combat ready, of course you need to have some industry to build it, of course here. But the manpower cost would be 400 in total later. For the industry cost, it will be cheaper when you build in reserve. I don't know why that is, but that's the case. And but the manpower cost 400, so I'm not able to deploy. Let's see, we have 1,200, so there would be like 3 times, so 150 divisions. Theoretically, from the manpower, I could deploy 150 divisions, and from the industry, it's not a problem, even as non-reserves. But it wouldn't be efficient because we need to reinforce them later and so on. So, and I don't need 150 divisions, it's silly. Yeah, I will just keep the airplane because we have enough resources, but it's really expensive and it hurts me. Yeah, it's what it is. So industry 13 points, which means we are not able to deploy too much of reserves, by the way, because we need to reinforce them, and with 13 industry, it's almost impossible. Maybe I should have gone industry just a few points, because 13 industries, that's so super silly. I mean, it will get higher a lot and really fast, because we get this full civilian economy gone, but still, it's almost nothing. Anyway, nothing we can change right now about it. We have the tech, and now we work with it. So, I'm not sure. Maybe militia was not the best solution. I mean, you can also build some infantry because I didn't consider the industry. I mean, I knew it's almost nothing, but 13 industry, that's a little silly. Okay, let's see. I believe I built, well, yeah, reserves. No, we built them in non-reserves. Let me see. We need, let me see, one army group. So 5 divisions is 1 corps, and 5 corps is 1 army, and 5 armies is 1 army group. So which means we need 5, 50, 100. So if I go for 100, that would be a good number. Yeah, we should work with 100. That should work. That should be enough militia for the whole game. So, 4, 5. So this part is now maybe a little boring. I show it live to you so you can see how you can build fast and efficient an army. But if you're not interested in this part, you can just maybe skip a couple of minutes. So the way I do it normally is I use the rule of 5, which I explained in my tutorial about hierarchy. And was it 5? No. So you can deploy 5, and 5 divisions is 1 5 divisions is 1 corps, and 5 corps is 1 army. So, zack, zack. I will redeploy them later in different sectors just for getting an overview. So now you could go to, well, let's finish this one first. So this one is 1 corps on the top. You cannot mark them all and get a corps for some weird reason. Seems to be a bug. But you can mark divisions to get a corps. I mean, a corps to army doesn't work, but divisions to corps works. I remember my multiplayer time with the Soviet Union, where I played even alone Soviet Union, while all the other countries had a couple of players. I still was first done with my army with this system here. It's really fast, really efficient, and also you don't miss anything normally. Sometimes you forget one unit. Normally, if I wouldn't be that lazy, I would normally put in each division my own commander, not by automatic, but since I have so many divisions, it's actually too much work for me. Also, we can first start this one here. And keep in mind, when you get an headquarter, it will cost you some industry as well. So you need to have some industry on hand to get the system working, but it's not much. So, I see it now. I should have built maybe some factories because I have so many industry left and I cannot use it. 2, 3. And excuse me for my German, sometimes some words come out in German. I'm not used to make English videos anymore, so, but maybe with time it will get better. I normally phone with my girlfriend and talk to my girlfriend only in English because she's from China and only understands English or Chinese. And since I don't speak Chinese, we speak English all day. 5. So, and now the last one, I believe. Zack, zack. Right now it doesn't look too, well, it might look a little confusing right now, but soon you will see what I'm gonna do here. I believe a good hierarchy is super important for an efficient warfare. So I would never play any game without a good hierarchy. And you can adjust it later. I mean, you could, theoretically, but it's so much more work in-game, and normally you're busy with other stuff. And when you play multiplayer, where you don't pause the game, you don't play paused games, that would be silly, then you don't have the time to do this kind of stuff. So now I have all these units here, and each of those is 1 corps. Corps 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? 5. Yeah, 4 corps. Well, I actually need 5 corps, but I believe this one is actually enough too. Normally I would build 5, but it's working. So you see here all my corps. And now we get just 1 corps, doesn't matter which one. And that would be 1 army. And 1 army can get 5 corps. You could now consider to specialize. Maybe let's say that 1 army has specialized troops for, I don't know, hill combat or to fight special areas, jungle, whatever. Like Marines, for example, would be good in jungle combat. Next headquarter. So passte der nicht rein. Ah, jetzt. And that was my gem again. So 4, 5, and the next one. And then we are almost done. Yeah. The only thing I will check later is when I have special units, expensive units, or units I will assign special operations to, I will then assign special leaders to them, because the leader is actually super important. But since I have a spam army with militia, it doesn't matter too much what the leader can do, because you can have a lot of units and they need to work together, which means a lot of leaders work together. Which means I don't need to specialize right now. You cannot do this with this army. If you play the Germs, they're wonderful for specializing. You can do everything with the Germs. It's just a dream. I love it to build a hierarchy with all my officers and do specialized troops with Germs. It's so wonderful. I believe it was the real case in Second World War. So that's why they were so successful with some of the infantry. Okay, but now I have now here my armies. As you can see, 4 different armies. Each army comes with well, not with 5 cores, I believe one has 1 core less. You can also check the numbers if you're interested in the numbers, but they mean nothing in the game. So like every army has 300,000 men, and one has all 300,000? Really? Did I miscount? Yeah, apparently I didn't. Okay, so which means I can now put them in an army group, if I like, which I like. Which means my army group consists of 1.2 million soldiers. So that would be an efficient army here. Normally I could also put a 5th army in it, because 5 army make 1 army group, and then you can start your next army group. But it makes no sense, because there are already so many troops that I cannot deploy in one area. So next I will deploy maybe some garrisons for the coast here and some militia. You need to think about garrison carefully, because garrison almost no move. But let's first start here to get some structure on my area. So first army goes here, second army goes here. Okay, the numbers are weird. I just see that. Anyway, here, third army. Well, that was third. Okay, second army is down here. That makes no sense. Later I will move the big part of my army on the left side, as described before. That's why I put now more units in here, but I will start with this sector, because if I deploy all my units here and he will attack me, I get such a strong stacking penalty that my units are almost not able to fight anything. So that's it. So now I've deployed my first army group here with 1.2 million soldiers. And here's a headquarter for the first army group. So that's it. And with this army I can totally rout all Japanese, I believe. At least that's my hope. The only problem is, if they attack me in the very beginning, I'm really crowded here, then I have a big problem. I need to get in the open, which I intend to do with the units on the left side. So now I need 2 more armies. 1 army that is protecting the coast, and 1 army that is going against the communists. And both armies can be smaller, of course. So this one is first army group. I would call it, so I know exactly what it is. First army group, well, I need a shortcut. First army group it's way too long. First assault, and then army group maybe. So I know exactly what they're doing. So I have in my overview here later. There's no units in it, right? What the hell? Ah, there's an airplane, okay. Which is already wrong. Because the airplane will not benefit from a level 6 headquarter, it will benefit from a level 5 headquarter. If you put the airplane under this command, he will save some supply. Supply and fuel consumption is lower when you have it under a level 5 commander. So, but I can still go under this commander here. The theater is the right one. I can deploy it a little farther north, because he will be in command of all units in China, and most units operate in the northeast area, north and east, which means why not put it in north? Okay, yeah, I'm not sure about the chunksy stuff here. If it's not one of my guys, I will pretty soon conquer it, which is not a problem whatsoever. I could do that maybe my communist people here I use against communists. So let's see. Since we have so much industry left, I now think about building maybe some special units. So no artillery, but maybe anti-tank to get some experience for the guys. And I get it already with infantry. Of course not 100, that would be silly. And this bonus is silly too. That's just a specialized unit, and as you see, it's already so much more expensive. So I get just one of it. Well, there should be no tank whatsoever from the Japanese. Actually, I don't need that at all. I cannot use it, and it's really expensive. Sometimes it's a good idea to get it early to give it some experience, even infantry battle. But then I think I will never ever encounter any Japanese tanks except light tanks, and they will fight on hills, so they're pretty easy prey for me. Nah, that would be silly. It's just a waste of resources. Don't do that. Military police, we don't need that one. Anti-aircraft, we don't need. Armored car gives us no bonus, I believe. I'm not sure if armored car helps me for any tech I really need, so I don't build this one. No, then let's just go for infantry, so I can gather some infantry tech. Yeah, they're more expensive, you see that here. 15,000, then I have 10,000 left. Yeah, that's okay. It would be one core infantry. I will deploy it here. Well, there's no space anymore, right? That doesn't matter. That's my special unit. Since this one has more fighting power per sector, I might use it to punch through some area. Because my stack capacity would be too high if I use too many units, which means it's more efficient to use those units. But they have no high tech, so this should be almost the same power, right? Let me check the numbers for a second. Soft attack is 8 compared to a militia division. No, it's also 8. So it gives no advantage at the beginning. Well, it has some advantages in other values here, but it's nothing really important. But yeah, I get some experience, which means I can just deploy it in here, because it's really narrow, and also the experience I get here pretty well. I will attack all the time here, and then they get experience, and then later I will maybe transform them into Marines when I go to America. I'm not sure yet. But that would be one squad that I use for special tasks later in the game. So, one of those, then garrisons here. Garrisons is really tricky. They have more fighting power, but they have no movement whatsoever. Well, one kilometer per hour, which is almost nothing, but it's doing its job here. And I believe we get 3, then we have 4, 5. So this one would be one core, and it would be deployed on the communist side. 4, 5. I'm looking forward to the video numbers later. In my experience, actually a lot of people like to see how I plan my battles, but I don't recall how much people like to see in detail how I build armies and talk about technology and so on, because it's all really dry stuff. But then it's a fun factor from Hearts of Iron, in my opinion. But I'm not sure how much fun it is to watch it. So, but it's a vital point for the game. That's why I record it live. So that would be one core now, and it's on the communist side. I really hope I can afford the supply later, because with 13 industry and so many troops, supply could be a problem. I'm not 100% sure how much it will be. We will see in the game. So we need one corps commander, 5th Army. That's all right. Go to Beijing. It's not going... Well, I could put it in the army group here if I like. Or I could just make a new army group for the left side because it's so far away from those guys. And you know what? I will do exactly this one and get my own army group. And let's call it the Communist Front. Which is true because there are also some Soviet Union guys over here, right? So, one thing I could consider is also get some stuff on the south, which I most likely will even do later. maybe even India, but I'm not sure if we will do in the beginning. I mean, we will be in war with India, not India, with Britons for certain later, because we attack USA, right? So, which means sooner or later we will deploy our units when we conquer Japan, a lot of our units, at least 1 or 2 million, on the west, on India, to conquer some stuff here. We also need some maybe here in this area, Afghanistan, Persia, some of the oil. So, okay, that's settled. I will just deploy this guy on the border here, since I do not know which side they are on. They are garrisons, which means they will never go fast, but it's not important to go fast here. This one I deploy here, so all done. And this one is ready to move in here. Yeah, it will be super slow, but that's not the problem here. Yeah, that's working. So now for this house, I believe this one you get for free later. It would be an event. And then maybe the other stuff, you can just conquer it. Not sure, but I can redeploy some units for it. So we still have 9,000 left. And if I had known this number better, I would have built more units. And different tech, slightly different. Yeah, no garrisons, we go for militia. Maybe we can make some fun game here. We can make some of those as interceptor unit for the coast. If someone is landing on the coast, I can intercept it really fast. So this one here is like twice as fast as a normal unit is. Well, not all units, but let's say the militia is twice as fast as the militia and is almost twice as fast as infantry. So it's really hard to outrun this unit. And it's not that weak, but it's super expensive, and I think it's more efficient if I simply go for some more militia for the coast. So yeah, not sure if we need so many for the coast. Yeah, 25, I have a good number. It's manpower problem, yeah, it's too much, okay. You know what, if I have a manpower problem, I get maybe some infantry, but yeah, the main problem we face right now is the industry. I should have gone industry and then build some factories. But it's over now, I play what I have, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. I'm a little reluctant here. You see, the whole tech would be so much better. Let's say the whole industry cost. I could have saved like almost half of it by just building all its reserves and then use the saved part to build an industry to get the reserves on 100% manpower. So that would be super efficient, and yeah, but I made a mistake in the technology, I must admit. But now we're here and I don't want to start new. I don't make this kind of stuff, you know, where I save and then I reload it if something didn't work. It's not going to happen. I play as I go. Not as I go, I plan everything, but you know, if I make a mistake, I live with it and try to make the best out of it. And that's the case now. I made a huge mistake, as I see right now, and I have to deal with it. So let's see. It's like multiplayer. You just need to play your cards. So this one would leave me with almost no manpower, which is super sucky. Yeah, let's do this one. So 1 unit to defend the coast. I just deploy them here and redeploy them then later. Just needs the headquarter. So. And yeah, I do not believe they will land units, but if they do, I want to be a bit prepared at least. So if they land units, they will only do that on harbors. So that would be the main problem, if there's any problem. Maybe I will redeploy some of my garrisons here for the coast, just to secure the harbors. The harbor here is north, alles klar. Yeah, that's not super efficient if I deploy them on the coast everywhere, but then it's a garrison. Nobody cares if there's a commander, but it's like super inefficient to normally spread them out that far. Okay, anyway. So the coast is covered, and if someone's landing here, Hierachy, it's not a problem. I can redeploy units, but I believe the fighting front would be on top. So now it should be all set. I have 4,000 left. I can increase my convoys a little bit, which I normally wouldn't do, but here I have resources left and later I need them. If I go to Japan, I need those convoys to resupply myself, and they will be sank all the time by submarines, so I need a lot of them. Yeah, this one, I never really got the escort, how it really works. Yeah, as too silly, I cannot build factories. That was such a huge mistake, I realize now. Anyway, that's what it is. Yeah, we can build our transport, which we need. We can build no airplane, and brigades. It's silly to build brigades. Well, we can build the transports. We need those anyway. 4 transports, 3. Yeah, well, for the beginning. It's not that I'm using them, so I just deploy them here. So my plan would be to go to war as soon as possible, and then maybe take a half a year to go to Korea, as I showed before in my battle plan. This one would be, if possible, I would like to have it in the first 1 or 2 months, and then by mid of the year, before winter, I want to stay here. So, and when the winter comes, latest time when the winter comes, well, actually, winter time would be wonderful to stand here. There's no flanking whatsoever, but I don't want to start this offensive here in the winter time, because then I will be slower, and it's not really efficient to flank when you're slow. Well, the enemy will be slower too, but he has smaller areas to cover where he needs to move, and I have to move around him. So speed is important for me. So let's say if I can do this one by March, maybe April the latest, then I would be fine, and I have enough time to move to Korea. Yeah, and then maybe at the end of the year I start to build transports, and then maybe next year I will invade Japan. That would be the rough plan. But as normal, a plan will never survive the first enemy contact. Okay, that's what we do now. Let's start it. Well, some here. No wasting any resources. And now we start the game and we pray to God that it's working. Before we do that, let's see if I have everything under order. Well, we can put in this one, the range should be enough. And this fleet goes in Commander 5 to save some fuel. So he has no commander, how wonderful. Yeah, for the commander, they're all super crappy, so I don't know if I want to get any special commander anywhere. Normally I would really pay attention to my commanders, officers, and more to the hierarchy, but with the Chinese army, there's no point in this micromanagement. With the Germans, it would be so much more fun, but it's not here. So yeah, that's it. Now we start the game. It would be a new video, just the first day I will show this one. Let's go here. So just to see if there's any catastrophe. This one we need to get the value higher. It's important for your organization and fighting. And yeah, the rest is okay. We need manpower to reinforce, that most likely for the headquarters. Yeah. Okay, what we need first then, well, we make that in the next video, but I know already what we need to do. So I hope you had enjoyed the building part. I hope it was not too boring. And the next one would be set up our country for war. And then the part after that most likely will be the war itself. So, see you later.